Hey, what's the deal, YouTube? It's your girl, Miss Honey. Welcome back to the channel, you guys. It's your girl, Miss Honey. I am low and slow to the flow because it is 10:15 and it's time for all good honeybees to be in the bed. But before we go nighty night, I wanted to come in with my review for Queen Sugar. I believe this is season 4, episode 2 of Queen Sugar. And by the way, I want to say that I really miss Mike B. Mike B, if you are out there, if you are still with us, if you are still rocking on this YouTube, on these YouTube streets, we would love to hear your Queen Sugar review for this season. We need the male perspective. Just FYI, if you guys are tooling around out there on YouTube and you guys see Mike B, tell him MizHoney ask about him, okay? I appreciate y'all. Listen, like I said, we just gonna come in real slow and easy with this episode because I don't know. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time connecting with this season of Queen Sugar. And I'm not sure if my hopes and dreams have been for the Borderlines to come together and as a family collectively take down the Landrys. Maybe that's where all my hopes and dreams are, and I'm just not with this persistent, constant, ever present all the same thing, by the way. I think, dissension. It's like we go from dissension to dissension. And this latest thing with Blessings in Blood, Nova's book, I'm taking personally. You guys tell me if you know what I'm saying. Are you feeling some of the same types of feelings? I'm taking it personally. Like, just the smug and self-righteous way she's explaining her way through this episode makes me want to slap Nova's face. I want to slap her face. I do. Like, who put you in charge, Nova? Who put you in charge of setting everybody and every part of their life straight, to breaking it down and laying it open, cutting it deep, pulling it apart and splaying it wide in the hot sun, so that it can stink and fester and bloat for all the world to see and smell and taste on their palate. Who put you in charge of that, Nova? Where did you get the unmitigated gall, the balls, to not just tell your business, but to go in and out of each and every one of your family members, things that they have told you in private, in moments of hurt and pain and brokenness? You sat there in front of Charlie's house and hugged your sister and let her lay her head on your shoulder and talk to you about what was going on, how she felt about things. And then you took this and you put it in the book, but you turned it. You skewed it to say, look what a mistake this person has made. And let's make this mistake or these mistakes applicable to the ills in our own culture and our own community. This is what's wrong with black women, with light-skinned women, with black men. with drug addicts, with women who are oppressed, men who have been beaten down, black men who have been beaten down by this world and had moments where they thought they could not go on. That's your daddy's story. Look how you told it in the book. Then you take your own story and talk about how you sold weed to Too Sweet and you were the catalyst to him getting locked up. What else, Nova? What else? Your secrets don't just end there. If that's your only secret, you're doing good, daughter. What else? If you're new to my channel, I would love to have you as a honeybee, a member of the tribe, a subscriber. Hit the subscription bell if you feel led to do so. Hit that little bell right next to it that lets you know when I upload. You'll want to do that because I don't really upload a lot. I'd also love to get a thumbs up. It's like saying, hey, MizHoney. And I like it when people holler at me, you know. And don't forget to comment down below. Have you watched previous episodes? Have you watched previous seasons? How do you guys feel about this season? How is this season making you feel personally in terms of how we relate to each other as humans? We all have to have someone that we can talk to, that we can go to, that we can depend on, confide in, and for oftentimes it is our siblings. But to have such a betrayal, to have such a deep personal betrayal, I don't know, you guys. I don't know. I don't know where the writers are going. How can we bring our characters back, our family back from this horrible, this is horrific. This is horrific. This is about an insider, a person inside the family, basically walking through the family's history and ripping and shredding at the very fibers. The small tendrils they did have holding them together. Borderlines were already fragile, you know, from the daddy leaving all the land to Ralph Angel, Charlie selling the mill after they had all worked so hard, Aunt Vi with her lupus diagnosis, Blue finding out about Blue. I mean, we weren't all just, you know, walking on sunshine. We were all still very tender. Nova. All right, let's talk about Charlie, you guys. Okay, so Micah's back from his you know, summer sabbatical. Apparently he went to Paris and met some people. He got involved with, you know, the woke crowd, which is no problem. I think it's great. We found a lot of youth nowadays that are really getting involved in not just knowing what happened in our past, but trying to understand the present day climate in our culture, and as it pertains to young black men, young black youth, period, trying to matriculate out here in this world, just trying to make it, you know. It's important to recognize the ills and the injustice and the microaggressions, but it's also important to be wise and have a measure of temperance. Well, Micah is young. Micah is young, so there are some things that will just be lost on him because he has not lived long enough to know some of these things. Well, Charlie, of course, is always in protective mode. She says something very interesting in this episode when she talks about wanting to fix it as it pertains to Nova's book. It's not just Nova's book that Charlie wants to fix. Charlie wanted to fix the whole sugarcane situation. She fixed the whole Davis situation, which one could say she failed kind of at both. I mean, she did get Davis off, but the way she went about it now is in Nova's book, and it's poised to um, come back to bite her in the butt. The sugar cane and the sugar mill situation, we all know what's going on with that. You sold it, you don't even, you don't even have no shares, Charlie. You don't have no say, girl. What is? But she's a fixer, and she has put an injunction out to stop the book, which is set to go to press in 2 weeks. Nova's got hard copies already. But anyway, she sees Micah, and Micah hops off a private plane, and she sort of rattles off how he's been on this very privileged summer sabbatical, and private planes and new clothes. He's started locking his hair. He's grown it out a little bit. He's got the shadow of a beard coming in. I mean, he's growing up. He's growing up. He's coming into his own. He feels culturally savvy, woke with it. And she's afraid. She's afraid of this new look and this new attitude. And she knows that over here in Western society, that it could mean his life if he is not careful. And she's afraid for him. She wants him to get a good job, go to school, be clean cut, and just move through this world and try to get through it unscathed. And she says it in so many words, and he says, well, I followed your footsteps, and you stopped straightening your hair, and you have it curly. And she realized, yeah, he's doing this thing. At the same time, she's worried. She's a mom. We also see where Charlie meets up with Ralph Angel and with Hollywood at Aunt Vi's Prize Pies and Diner. And they are hush-hush talking. Charlie now knows that Ralph Angel has gone over to Nova's and given her what for. And Hollywood is very, very worried about the things that he's reading. Now, mind you, Aunt Vi is looking for him high and low all around the restaurant because she needs his help, and he's sneaking and reading chapters of the book because he's trying to figure out everything that is being said in this book so he can prep Aunt Vi. Ralph Angel don't want to tell her yet. Meanwhile, Charlie feels like they have to tell Vi, and of course everybody is worried about Aunt Vi. And Hollywood finally says, you know what? I'll tell her. Let me tell her. Later on, when Ralph Angel gets up to go and take Blue to a birthday party and leaves Charlie and Hollywood there talking, and Hollywood wants to know if Charlie thinks that Ralph Angel knows that Darla is also in the book. And we find that some of the most secretive things that the Borderlones were keeping quiet or just amongst themselves was the day that Hollywood found Darla turning tricks in the shed outside of Papa Borderlone's house, and Blue was there, and how Hollywood took Blue, rescued him, if you will. It was something they were keeping private because it's a horrible notion, a horrible truth, a horrible fact that they wanted to protect Blue from. They wanted to protect Blue's relationship with Darla. They wanted to protect Blue's relationship with his father, with Ralph Angel, because Ralph Angel was off at jail. This was something that we just were not going to talk about, especially because Darla has done a 360. She has been to rehab, and she's rebuilding her life. And to just take these things so callously and throw them out there for other people to see and interpret will tear at the fiber of her sobriety, will tear at the fiber of Blue's esteem, how he views his parents. It's not that you gotta look at them like they perfect, but do you have to know every detail of how imperfect they are? I mean, I'm so upset with Nova. I don't know. Is it? I don't know. Anyway, later on we see where Charlie is talking to Suarez. No, I have not learned his name. I know it's somewhere around there, but that's her boyfriend, and he gives her some really, really good advice. I liked it. I still got my good eye on him. I mean, I feel like, what the heck am I scrutinizing outsiders for when I need to be watching the borderlones inside of the storm? But nonetheless, he tells her, she's told him about the book, and she's told him about some things in her past, and he says, I don't want to read the book. I don't want to know that part about you. He said, but you may be opening up, exposing what she's written in the book that much more by suing her and trying to get the book stopped. Maybe you should let it come out, and maybe you should just live with what the consequences are. I feel like that's easier said than done. I do. I mean, let's face it. It looks like the Borderlones are going to have to live with this. Like I said, I don't know how we recover from this, but it is a valid point, I think, that he's making. So then we'll talk about Ra. So Ra goes over and he confronts Nova. And listen, let me tell you something. Coffee Cerebro is one hell of an actor. And so is Nova, the actress that plays Nova. This moment, I was fearful for her. I could sense that her character was afraid. The character Nova was afraid. I was fearful for her because I did not know if he was going to grab her and shake her like a rag doll. I mean, Coffee Cerebro has this way of bringing his anger to the very surface of his skin. He almost vibrates. You can just see him translating that role into the anger that he needs to be authentic in the moment. And he tells her, I swear, if my mama and daddy wasn't your mom and daddy, I'd call you the son of a bitch you are. I was like, ooh, 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 ooh. When he threw that book and broke that picture frame, I was like, girl, step back. Take 2 steps back, girl. Take 2 steps back. You don't want to be right up on him like that. But then, this is the part where I wanted to slap Nova's face when she said, well, if you want, we can sit down together and talk to Blue and tell Blue. Really? Really? Really, Nova? Really? The nerve. He told her, never come near my son again. Don't you ever come near my son again. What did you think was going to happen? You think he was just going to let you run around, hang around, deal with his son, and you so busy disregarding other people's feelings and devaluing their need to reveal their truths at their own time? Okay, we see what you did with Micah. Micah come over to see you, and you hand him a hand-signed hard copy of your book to read, knowing what it has in it. It's like something has stolen your brain, Nova. I just don't understand. I don't understand where are we going with this. I really don't get it. And this is when, the marketing people come in and they make themselves at home. They got Nova all dressed up and they taking pictures of Nova, and she trying to figure out if she can put the brakes on this thing just so she can talk to her family a little bit more. And they let her know, oh no, they'll come to grips with it, and plus it's too late for you to stop it. I was like, Lord, Nova, what have you done, girl? What have you done? Ralph Angel has a little day date with the pretty brown round, we learn that she is actually attorney. I think a district attorney. She's a beautiful, beautiful woman. She really, really is. Has a very calm spirit. Her character has a very calm spirit, but confident and self-assured. I think Ralph Angel responds to that. And I thought for sure when she said she was a district attorney, he was going to tell her that he was an ex-con, but he didn't lead with that at all. And he asked to see her again, so it was a good moment. Then we see where Ralph Angel goes and takes Blue and drops him off at Darla. Now Darla is dating a man, very handsome African American man, and they're having coffee and conversation, and we find out that he's 5 years clean and sober. And so she's actually dating someone who has some familiarity with an addict's life, and at least 5 years of experience in sobriety, and he wants her to become a sponsor. She's still thinking about it when Ralph Angel brings Sleepy Blue over and puts him down, and he and Darla sit on the front porch of her house and talk a little bit, and he wants to talk a little bit about who she's dating. And she says she doesn't know if she wants to talk about it, and he was like, well, we need to talk about it and communicate as co-parents. And she says, well, I don't want to talk about it, my dating with you, because I don't want you to talk about who you dating with me. I don't think I'm ready for that. And he was like, well, I don't think I'm ready for it either. It was another really good moment between Darla and Ralph Angel. And this is why I really fought so hard for Ralph Angel to forgive Darla and to move on with Darla, because they do have a chemistry that cannot be denied. And what they have been through has the embers of a smoldering flame that, or fire that could become, a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful family, a beautiful, strong family that cannot be penetrated, because they've been through the worst with one another. It's a setup for success. Everything bad that happens to you ain't bad for you, and it's the opportunity. Micah is back, and he's brand new, and he ain't taking no ish. I mean, he ain't off the plane 2 minutes, and he already schooling his homies, his activist homies on things they need to be reading up on, and show speakers they need to hear, and all of this stuff. Meanwhile, they friend that set fire to the slate, well, it was an accident, but he's going to jail. Evidently they keeping him in jail. He can't even have no visitors. And then we see Kiki pull up, and her and Micah go hang out with all the kids after school, at one of these hangout spots, and one of the white kids say something about Wakanda pertaining to Micah's hair, and one thing led to another. I mean, he had a hair trigger on him anyway. He wants to find somewhere to deposit all of this knowledge that he has learned, all of these feelings. He wants to show people that he is aware, awake, alert, and has ambitions to change, these cultural injustices. He's full of it. He's full up. He's so full he doesn't know what to do with it all, or how to direct it, how to focus it. After this fight, Micah basically wails on the guy. I mean, he's not weak, easygoing Micah that they brought from California. Okay, this different Micah. This Micah been through some things. Okay, still not enough to have temperance, but he been through some things. So he leave the fight scene. Instead of going home, he got a cut over his eye. He go to Nova's, and he is telling her all the reasons why he did what he did, and what the white guy meant by it, and them, they call it the comedy culture or something, comedy something. It's my first time hearing that, but basically using comedy and laughter to dehumanize and devalue a racist culture is one of the first steps to taking over that race. So I understood completely where it was coming from, and from my day-to-day life, I understand completely what the connotation means. Nova needs a friend. Nova needs a friend. We see where she is feeling a type of way because no one is talking to her. No one is dealing with her. She has a tremendous amount of guilt, and she's called her the guy she used to give the drugs to that would sell them. She grew them. He came and got the harvest and sold them. You know, so she wants to talk to him, and they smoking, and she wanted them to be friends, and she tells about how she wrote this book. So now fast forward to Micah, and again, she doesn't give him this conversation about temperance and focusing and not letting people sort of knock you off your square. Don't waste your time with these small battles. When, she doesn't give him this conversation. She instead gets up and gets this signed copy of her books and gives it to him and sends him home to read it. I was like, Nova, you're such a bitch. You're a bitch, Nova. You're a bitch. Why would you do that? Why would you give him this to go off unguided to read this? The boy is already half cocked. Hollywood gets busted. He has hid the book because he got to go out there and do his duties in the diner, and Aunt Vi has found the book. Now, she already was suspicious of them sitting around in the diner talking and whispering, and she knew something was up, and she knew that the half-cocked stories that Hollywood told her about the conversation weren't true. And so when she finds this book, she comes outside and throws it down on the counter and was like, what gives? What gives? What's tea? Like, what's going on with y'all whispering, and what's going on with this whole book situation? And Hollywood tells her, I know you say you didn't have time to read it, but you got to read it. And she was like, I bet you she is telling all of Ernest's secrets in that book. And he was like, that ain't even the half of it, Vi. That ain't even the half of it. So later on, we see where Vi is going over some paperwork, and she's looking at that book and going over the paperwork, and she's looking at that book, and finally she takes a moment to open it to a page that Hollywood has earmarked, and she reads a little bit about what Nova has said about her. And just that little snippet hurts her. Okay, now through this whole episode, when the episode opens, we see a very handsome man with a beautiful white salt and pepper beard. It's mostly white, bald head and cowboy hat on. A typical southern gentleman riding along in an old caddy. He sees a woman on the side of the road that needs help. He helps her out and gives her a couple of colloquialisms and southern stories about what my mama used to say and what my daddy used to say, and all these types of things. And just a seemingly charming gentleman. The gentleman is played by David Alan Grier, and gets back in the car and rides on up the road a little piece, and he stops he's headed towards New Orleans, by the way, and stops at a little roadside food stand and gets some ribs, and he drops off a couple of stories and daddy them and mama them and little colloquialisms and southern charm, tipping the hat, the whole nine, leaving a good little bit of money in the jar, far beyond what his plate would have cost. And he's on his way to NOLA, and he gets on down the road a little bit and stops at a bed and breakfast, a little small hotel, once he gets into St. Joe's Parish. And where is that restaurant I keep hearing all about? It's called the High Yellow. The woman says, oh no, it's called Aunt Vi's Prize Pies and Diner now. And he was like, oh, Vi's Prize Pies, huh? said, yeah, yeah. He said, oh, okay. She said, you got to try the peach pecan pie. He was like, okay, I'll do that. Now, this is the first time through the whole episode, he is traveling and stopping, and they're cutting in these little scenes where we see this man who looks like just a fine southern gentleman with stories and just give you belly laughs and tell great stories about his past and his journey through life and all of this. He seems like a really nice guy. When he hears about Vi's prize pies best in the state and try the peach pie, it was something cold that rolled over his face. And I said, this is going to be one of David Allen Greer's finest acting moments. I can feel it. I can feel it. The venom that rolled over his face. I mean, when I tell you he dropped that southern comfort look and looked like I'm gonna break her neck, things just got more interesting, as if they could not be more interesting than what they already are. You guys tell me what y'all think about this episode. I know that it wasn't my typical review. I want to be authentic with you guys and just talk about how I feel about this season. I want to know if you guys are feeling like the season is different. You guys always help me sort of sort out what it is I'm feeling. And I don't know if I'm taking what Nova has done personally. I don't know if I'm putting off my expectation of the board alones onto you guys, into my reviews and onto the show, and not just taking it for what it is. I don't know, but I'm devastated at what Nova has done. I mean, when Charlie goes over after she finds out that Micah has gone over there after that fight and he's defending Aunt Nova, and he did have a point. Nova was the one that shielded him from shame, so to speak, when she noticed he had pottied on himself. And while Charlie was arguing with Davis, and she's the one that came alongside Micah and was able to sort of understand what he was going through as it pertains to the police officer abusing him. And so I can understand his love for his Aunt Nova, but I can certainly understand Charlie's anger. And it was so palpable when she went over. Charlie really expressed the anger towards Nova that I was feeling. Some of what I was feeling when she slammed it down, and she had all them little blue tabs in that book where she had gone through, peeled through that joker and marked off all of the infractions. When that bucket of tears dropped out of her eye when she said, when Micah reads this, he will think I am a monster. When she told Nova that she said self-righteous, did she say it was something pertaining to Nova being just sort of cold and callous to what she had done. Nova is taking this standpoint where what I have done will make everything right. It's going to fix the Black community. It's going to fix this family. You guys will see I have done perfect. Her anger when she took that picture. Now, this is the same picture that Ralph Angel had broken earlier when he threw the book when he came to see Nova. And she picked up all the glass and threw it away and then put the actual picture back up. And it's a picture of, I believe, Charlie and Nova sort of laying out in the yard. I think their backs are to the camera, but it's just like two sisters leaning into each other. And when Nova put it up, she put it up real gingerly, real carefully, to denote how precious it was to her. And when Charlie sees that picture and she looks at it and she picks it up, it was very slow. She looked at it and she ripped it in half, and Nova was cut to the core because she knows what she's saying. She knows what Charlie is saying by ripping that picture up. She knows that Charlie is saying, "You have torn us apart, and I will never forgive you." Wow. This is how I'm feeling. This is how I'm feeling. I'm so hurt at Nova. And I want her to feel more like an insider. I really want Nova to talk to at least one person and give us a hint that she understands. But I don't know that we're getting that. Nova feels completely justified. When she kept saying it was about rape culture, I was like, don't you understand what it means to associate somebody with rape? Anyway, y'all tell me what y'all think. Y'all tell me how y'all feel about this review. Like I said, I know it was a bit different. Please tell me how y'all feel about what Nova has done. So far, we have not gotten the worst of the worst, which would be Aunt Vi. Aunt Vi can be vicious. And Nova is going to get a tongue lashing like none other. So, I'm really hurt for Micah and for Blue. I don't know what the end result is going to be. And I'm scared for Darla. I hope she's strong enough to get through this. And I thought Ralph Angel was going to talk to her about it, but it just seems like nobody wants to mention it. And that this is why it's horrifying what Nova has done, because these are things that people are still trying to overcome, and to have it put in print for everyone to see and scrutinize and criticize them on, it is devastating. But like Suarez says, they may just have to live through it. Y'all tell me what you think and put it down below. Until next time, honeybees. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I holla.